Previously on The Recap, Jake and Brian formed an alliance discussing Survivor Redemption Island.
You know what? Tonight I'm gonna make some crispy rice, and I'm gonna eat it.
I want the crispy rice.
I'm gonna eat it for
Why
sure.
is Rob getting the crispy rice?
The alliance was to be short-lived when the two disagreed about the vote.
Man, I made it.
Nice of you to join us, Jake.
You're welcome.
The bickering had reached a breaking point.
And you know what? You were wrong.
You know,
You were wrong. Say it.
honestly, the shirt,
Team
really?
Russell for life.
Yeah.
For life.
In the end, it was Jake who would pay the price.
I guess the tribe has spoken and it's time to go.
Ouch.
Now, a new alliance is formed with the new season. It's Survivor Caramoan.
We've got Nick Collenberg here. I look forward to meeting with you again in the future, Nick.
Hey, it was fun on my first time, so.
You're watching the Survivor Recap. What will they talk about today?
Hi, and welcome to another Survivor Recap. I'm Brian Dummer, and once again, I'm joined by Survivor expert Nick Collenberg. Nick, thank you for joining me.
Thank you once again, Brian.
We saw a really exciting episode of Survivor this week. A lot happened on the Favorites tribe, and we also saw some new things from the Fans tribe. Building up for another successful week here, let's talk a little bit about what we saw early on from the Favorites. Something bothered me about this episode, and it may have bothered you too. It is something that has been occurring in Survivor for several seasons. Now, Survivor decides to cast a wide variety of cast members. You always have the very attractive young woman, the athletic man. You've got the more sensitive man, and another character that is basically in every season of Survivor is the mother. This season on the Favorites tribe, we have the mother character represented through Dawn. Last season, we saw it through Lisa Welshel.
Yes.
You see these characters come in, and so many times they want to win the game, but they have one really big issue that tends to work against them. And I like to call that
the trigger regret. Yes.
This issue is driving me nuts in the world of Survivor. Why is it? Well, let's take a look at this week's episode. Dawn made some powerful moves, went and voted at Tribal Council. When she came home, she was confronted by Brandon and broke down crying.
Yes.
In the game of Survivor, what is your primary task?
You have to make yourself known, first of all, and you have to be able to play the game. And you're gonna hurt people playing the game no matter what. And if you make somebody upset, you know, that's the part of the game.
Exactly.
So you can't feel that you have to please everybody, because in the ending you have to please yourself. So.
And I think we should take that then. Let's take that and compare that to how it's worked out for other people who have been in that role. Let's look at other people who have had trigger regret in the past. Lisa Welshel.
Yes, Lisa, definitely. Lisa, I mean, great person. Obviously, we found that out throughout the whole last season of Survivor, and just this overall caring person. But at the end, she still didn't win. So there's something in between where you have to decide, you know what, this is the move I'm going to make, and I'm going to make it to win. Because you can't tell me that all these people are not there to win.
Right.
So.
And you know, there's this really contradictory element, and you know, on one side you want to be loving and nurturing, but on the other side you want to be the ultimate survivor. You do not win by putting on the loving and nurturing face. You might want to display that, but don't have regrets about it. Don't break down and start crying about this.
Yes.
Another character I want to point out happens to be the person who made this such an issue in this episode, Brandon Hance. Let's take a look back to Brandon's first season.
Yes.
If you recall, Brandon Hance had this whole issue of trying to portray the anti-Russell. He did not want to be the bully that his uncle Russell was in the show. So he comes on out and he starts, you know, being friendly to everyone. He has to hide his name, and you know, he goes through this whole debacle, and then all of a sudden he decides to start pulling the trigger. And what happens? He starts freaking out. So, you know, he's another one of those players that needs to learn from this. And here he is picking on poor Dawn, trying to make things an issue. And, you know, I think one thing that we saw this week was how two-faced this guy is.
Yes.
You know, we suspected it from his first season. You know, he's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Well, here he is now again, and he's doing this whole thing where I'm going to burn down the camp, and I'm going to be, you know, this big bully.
Yes.
I'm going to go Russell Hantz on the whole tribe. And all of a sudden, wakes up in the morning after having slept on it and realizes that, that's probably not a good strategy.
Yeah, I definitely agree. He some of his quotes, I feel like playing dirty, and I feel like going Rambo. Not really sure if that's somebody I would want on camp, but on the other hand, I might want to take to the final because I know that I would be better than him. So,
well, out of pure annoyance, I might be tempted to vote him out. One thing that was discussed is, you know, this whole issue of characters that are annoying. Is it worth keeping them around? I think Malcolm made some comment that, you know, it would be great to keep Brandon Hantz around, but he didn't know if he actually could physically, or maybe it was Shep he was referring to.
Yeah, it was Philip.
Might have been Philip Shepard. He said, you know, I'm not really sure if I want to do that. He said, quote, I might hang myself if I have to do that.
Yeah.
So, you know, people feel very strongly about this. And I think, you know, we have to look at it. There are two ways to look at this. We can look at on one tribe, you've got Philip Shepard, who has typically been thought of as this crazy character. Maybe he actually is. We really don't know. We're starting to see a little bit of the character of Shep come out.
Yep.
Then the other character is Shamar on the fans tribe.
Fan side.
Talk a little bit about this here. I mean, do you believe that these guys are playing the strategy of being the crazy person to make it to the end, or do you think they just are completely unaware of what they are doing?
No, I think Sherry has a point. I think she knows who she wants to take to the final. I think she's a very smart player, and she's obviously a huge fan of the game because she understands that if we take this person with me, I have a better chance.
Yeah.
And I think keeping Shamar around, he's obviously a big guy. He knows, and my defense for him is, yes, he might be lazy around the camp. He hasn't really done much around the camp. But he also knows how to survive in these conditions.
Okay.
And I think that might be something to play on as Sherry. You keep him around. He is your muscle for challenges. He combats Malcolm on the fan side, or favorite side, and Shamar on the fan side. And I just feel that this is a guy that you want to keep towards the end. So.
Okay, and that's an interesting way of looking at it. You know, I am a little bit more frustrated to see him not working at all. I mean, I really think that you do need to put that forward. I mean, if you want to talk about survival, look, there is that whole element, and you know, he talks about how he's used to being given orders, and you know, to a certain extent, you can't apply, you know, the whole idea of the military to Survivor. You know, you can't wait for someone to give you orders. You have to take actions into your own hands.
Correct.
And that frustrates me a little bit about this character. I think Sherry is very intelligent, and I would love to see her go far in this game because what we've seen so far is really a great display.
Yeah.
Very positive. Taking it to the other side with Philip Shepard and Stealth R Us, the return of Stealth
Stealth
Is it 2.0 now? I'm not sure, but it sounds like something Philip would do. Well, let's look a little bit about what Philip is doing here. Again, we talked last week about the idea that he is trying to take on Boston Rob's whole strategy.
The count of Boston Rob.
The rules of Rob. I'm not sure
what they.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's take a look at this. Now, this episode we saw him handing out positions to every person.
Every person in his alliance.
In his alliance. Good idea, bad idea. What do you make of it?
I think the people in his alliance are taking it with a grain of salt. I mean, like you said before, Malcolm touched a little bit on if I have to do this Stealth RS for the whole time that I'm on this island, I might hang myself. A little dramatic, yes. I understand how it can get. I can understand how it could get annoying. However, at the same time, I also think that it's going to play to his head a little bit, and we're going to see a blow up soon with Philip.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I don't know if he can really continue this strategy if he is so you know out there about it. You need to be a little bit more sly than that. I think Boston Rob certainly was. So we'll see how that all plays out. A new episode coming up on Wednesday, 7 o'clock on CBS. You will want to watch it because we will be back here with another Survivor recap. Stay tuned for more recaps right at this same spot in the upcoming weeks. Thank you.